Okay, so I'm out walking Daisy. Oh, boy, caught her at a bad time there. Anyway, walking Daisy, and some particular insights are coming up to me, and I wanted to share them. And no time like the present. So, in the spiritual community, there's two ideas that are pretty well circulated, and maybe even you could say catchphrases, and it's the idea of we create our own reality, and there's also the idea of everything is here and now, the now, really important. And I, like so many people, add that to our understanding and are happy to say that resonates with us, and kind of take that for truth. And it is true, but there's the question of whether or not one really understands it sufficiently enough to actually take advantage of what it all means, basically. So, Eckhart Tolle has a book, The Power of Now. Ram Dass, Be Here Now. So these are definite masters, and there is the idea that it's never not been now. No matter what time it is, it's always now, and that the past and the present, the past and the future are illusions. And of course, Einstein himself said time is an illusion, although a very persistent one, something along those lines. Anyway, so what does that mean? It means everything is here and now. We create our reality, and everything is right here, right now. So if we create our reality 100%, then obviously we do that in any given now moment. And when things are going pretty good in our lives and we're having a nice day and things are going smoothly, at least for myself, I find it quite easy to kind of take credit for my creation and be in a good mood, and therefore everything's going along well, and I'm creating more positivity in the moment because I'm in a good state of being, which is related to your mood. It's not completely 100% correlated, but it's a strong enough correlation that, generally speaking, if you're in a good mood, you can imagine that you're creating positive positivity in the moment, and that you're putting out good vibes, and that you're performing well, so to speak. The challenge, of course, comes when something unexpected comes along and that you don't prefer. Perhaps someone cuts you off in the road, or you get an unexpected bill in the mail and you realize you're late making a payment, and now there's penalties involved, whatever it is. And then that's the critical moment, because that's the now moment. That's the circumstance in the now moment. And the question is, are we going to maintain the positive mood, perhaps, that we were in? The positive mood that perhaps is our general intention in life, to create positively and stay in a good vibration? Or are we going to use that circumstance, that situation, to unconsciously react negatively? And that's really where the rubber hits the pavement, as they say, in that moment. That's the question. That's where, are we going to continue in a positive state, or are we going to let the circumstances dictate and then suddenly go into a negative state and start creating in that now moment from a negative state? So, and of course, that's the challenge, right? we feel offended. This guy cut us off, and or this bill, I meant to pay that, or it got lost in the mail, or whatever, and we start to play into or fall into a victim mentality, which by definition, if we're a victim to our reality, that is obviously a completely opposite idea to the fact that we create our reality 100%. So you can see where I'm going with this. And there's this almost like this idea of, well, I need to stay in a positive state, so when something comes along negatively, I'll just bite my lip, so to speak, and just kind of hold it in. But that's really erroneous, because that's just creating a pressure situation. There's internal resentment, and you're just not acting upon it. And there's something to be said for not taking action. That's a positive thing. It's all well and good to feel your emotions and to have thoughts. And the idea is not to act from that state of being. But it's not about just holding it in and withholding action. Like I said, it's much deeper than that. Because if you're defining something as negative and then just holding it in and trying not to act, at best what you're trying to do is make the best of a bad situation. But it's only a bad situation if you define it that way. So the trick to it is to understand, and this is where it gets really fun, that not only is it not a negative situation, it's fundamentally neutral, even if we don't prefer it. And it's neutral because we can use it positively. And again, that's not just trying to make the best of a bad situation. I am speaking of actually recognizing that the seemingly non-preferred situation that's come up is actually an opportunity, and a beautiful opportunity at that. And that's to say, when things are going along well and we are in a positive state, and therefore in those moments creating positively, that's great. But if we want to improve our overall lives, it's important to recognize that when something does come up non-preferred, that has come up because of a reaction to we had something from the past, a reaction to something we had in the past that we didn't prefer, and then we unconsciously react, and we're getting an echo of that in this current non-preferred situation. So when it comes up, it's actually an opportunity, a beautiful opportunity, to respond differently and to break the cycle of having something come up negatively, unconsciously negatively reacting, and then recreating that in some future now moment, because the physical reality only manifests after a certain amount of time. There's a certain lag time. It's not like the non-physical reality where your actions are immediately mirrored back to you. There's a lag time, and that's part of the Earth School game that we're playing. It creates the challenge so it's not so obvious that we create our reality. But once you understand that we do, you can actually get to the point where you can look forward. I know this sounds crazy, but actually look forward to non-preferred things coming up in your life, seeing it as a challenge to yourself to stay in a positive state. But again, not just hold it in and hold in the resentment and invalidate it and think it shouldn't be there, or oh, well, I'm more spiritual, so I'm not gonna take any negative action. It's not that. It's like literally seeing it for what it is, an opportunity to eliminate something in your life that's cropping up and responding differently, which gives you a better feeling in the moment, but it also creates a better reflection in the future. So it's like, let's just say the preferred life we want, just visualize it for now as an image of, we want this beautiful garden, this nice lawn and garden. And that's our life, and that's what we're looking for, and it's our ideal lawn and garden, so to speak. Well, what happens is you're watering your lawn and fertilizing it, and it's seeming pretty good, and you're in a pretty good mood. You're liking what you're seeing. And then you go out one morning and a weed has popped up in the middle of your lawn. And that weed is a circumstance, a situation that is manifested in your life. And of course we can go, damn it, why is this cropping up? I don't want this here. This weed shouldn't be here. And you can sort of get indignant about it and go into a negative state, and maybe, and that's, you recognize that, and you're having negative thoughts and negative emotions, which again is fine. But if you maintain that negative state, that would be the equivalent of steaming into the garage and grabbing a weed whacker in anger and having a negative state and just whacking it down, and you whack that weed down. But because it was in a negative state, because you reacted negatively and took action from that negative state, guess what? Well, that weed is going to crop up again because you just whacked the top of it off. It's still there. You haven't really solved it at the root, as they say. Whereas if you take a pause and you walk out in the morning and go, oh, there's a weed, and you might feel a little annoyed or angry, I thought I had gotten rid of those or whatever, but then go further and go, well, this is an opportunity to weed this out of my life. And I'm going to not deny that it's my creation, because I believe I create my reality, right? So obviously anything that crops up is my creation, so we don't immediately act like a victim and say this shouldn't be, because in that moment you're saying you don't create your reality by denying the reality that's right in front of your eyes. So what you can do is go, okay, here's an opportunity. Now that this weed has shown itself, I know where it's at, including its roots, and I can acknowledge that I've created this, stay in a positive state of being, and I go over to the lawn and I'll just dig out the roots. And that feels a lot better, doesn't it? There's not like this anger and whacking it, and you're acknowledging that you create your reality. You're responding differently to it, and you're literally weeding it out. Because once you get it by the roots, it doesn't come back. So that particular momentum that's been created through unconscious reaction, you've now responded differently, which for those of you who listen to Bashar, that's the true measure of change. It's not what happens, it's what you do with what happens. The true measure of change is responding differently to how you responded previously to a similar situation. So I just wanted to share that because I'm just seeing it really clearly right now, and it's really powerful. And you can literally turn it around, and again, it's not about holding anything in, any frustration or resentment. It's about really seeing the truth of how this works and understanding that anything that comes up in your life, obviously you've created. And so when something comes up non-preferred, see it as an opportunity to respond differently And then you're really making the difference in your life. Because, of course, we all respond positively to the positive creations. So there's really nothing to gain there. We're always going to do that. But the real opportunity, the real way to see improvement in your life is to catch the non-preferred situations and respond differently. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share for the day. Hope you're all doing well. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Goodbye.